Hello students, today we're going to start with a new chapter, that is Gopal and the Hilsa fish of class 7. Okay, so we'll start with the characters in this story. That is, the characters is the name, first of all, that is also there in the title, that is Gopal. Okay, then Gopal's wife, then it is the king and the courtiers. These are the characters in this story which you will get acquainted with. Okay, now let's start with the introduction of the chapter. Now the season of Hilsa fish was going on everywhere, as we have season of mangoes in summer. So Hilsa fish is one of a kind of a fish, right? So fishermen collect and then they sell it to the people. Okay, so this was a time when there was a season of Hilsa fish which was going on, and people were talking about Hilsa fish and nothing else. Even the court was not an exception. The court is the king's court, right? In the kingdom of in the king's court also, everybody was talking about not just one thing, and that was about this Hilsa fish. The king was tired of this. He made an announcement to buy a Hilsa fish and to bring it to the palace without anyone asking a word about it. Now he was so much frustrated, fed up of everyone was, even his courtiers, except for doing something. They were all busy. Every time they were talking about this Hilsa fish only. So he made an announcement. He challenged them that you have to buy that Hilsa fish and bring it to the palace without anyone asking a word about it. No one should tell or ask about that Hilsa fish that you are buying or taking it to palace. So Gopal is one of the courtiers in the king's palace and he accepts the challenge. Okay, he makes all the preparations. Now what is all the preparations that he makes? So he makes a preparation, what? He disguises himself. Now what does he do? He shaves himself as half, smears with himself all over his face and body with ash, and wear torn clothes. Now he wears all the torn clothes. Although he's a courtier, he does all these things. He accepts the challenge. Gopal accepts the challenge the king has posed, and then he shaves half of himself and then smears ash all over his body and wear torn clothes. Then set out to the palace with a big Hilsa fish. Throughout the way, everybody talks and laughs on his face and strange appearance of his strange appearance, but nobody says about Hilsa fish. Now throughout he buys Hilsa fish and takes it to the palace, but throughout the journey that he's going through, everybody is laughing, making fun of him. They think that he's a crazy madman, and they're talking about his strange appearance, and nobody's talks about the Hilsa fish that he is carrying. No, nobody talks about him. Now they have been distracted with this man whose appearance is very strange and kind of. He looks as a crazy person. So everybody's attention is diverted to this person instead of the Hilsa fish. So now they are not talking about the Hilsa fish that the town was or the village was initially talking about. Now they are all the attention and the talk of the village is of this appearance of the strange man who is wearing the stone clothes, right? Finally Gopal reaches to palace where the guards stop him to enter, and now Gopal starts singing so loudly that the king allows the stranger to come in. Inside the palace, even no one asks about the Hilsa fish except the appearance. Now he goes to the palace gates and the guards stop him. When he reaches there, he makes various sounds, dances and cries out loud. So the king is the one who then accepts it and then asks this stranger to come inside of his palace. And now when he enters the palace, now also everyone is startled by the appearance of this man, of the strange man who is looking very funny to them. This is a some sort of a, for them it's some sort of an entertainment, or some sort of a joker has appeared in the palace. So everybody forgets about this Hilsa fish that he's carrying. No, now nobody's talking about that Hilsa fish. Now, even the king asks about Gopal's dressing and not the Hilsa fish. Now, even the king, he's puzzled, and he thinks that why Gopal is wearing these clothes, why ash is laden on his face, and he's half shaved, and his appearance looks very unkept, and he's wearing torn clothes. So the king is also asking about Gopal's dressing and not about the Hilsa fish that he is carrying. Now, in the end, Gopal reminds the king about the challenge, and the king congratulates Gopal for achieving the impossible task. Now, the king also forgets about the challenge that he had given to Gopal. So Gopal reminds the king about the challenge that he accepted, and he says that I have successfully completed your challenge. And the king praises him, congratulates Gopal for this impossible task, the achievement that he has taken. And now the courtiers and everyone, every people of the village now are talking about this man only, the strange man, and not about the Hilsa fish that the king was earlier very frustrated about, that the village and or even the courtiers were talking about. So now let's begin. This was basically the introduction, sort of a summary to the chapter. Now let's begin with the comic strip, the story of the Gopal and the Hilsa fish. So as you can see in this picture, it was a season for Hilsa fish. Fishermen could think nothing but Hilsa fish. Fishmongers said nothing but Hilsa fish. Come buy, the price of Hilsa fish, it's down today. So the price was down. Everybody was talking about to buy, and they were selling the Hilsa fish, and they were asking the villagers to buy it. The price is all down, and as you can see in the market also, everywhere there was just a Hilsa fish that was going around, about the talking of that the fish. Okay, households could talk of nothing but Hilsa fish. How much did you pay for that Hilsa? You wouldn't believe it if I told you. Now everybody was talking. The talk of the town was this Hilsa fish that became. Okay. Now, and in the palace also, the courtiers could discuss nothing but about Hilsa fish only. Your Majesty, you should have seen the huge Hilsa I caught. It was. Now they were talking about this, the courtiers also in the palace, they were talking about this fish, how it was so huge, so big that they caught, right? And what was the reaction of the king? Now, the king was very frustrated, as you can see in the picture. Stop it, he's grinding his teeth. See, he's angry, agitated. Right? Stop it. Are you a courtier or a fisherman? Now he's angry and he's asking the courtiers to, instead of doing the work that is allotted or of the king that they have to do, the courtiers, they were talking about this fish, and so he asked it in a very angry tone that are you a courtier or a fisherman? The courtier fell silent with downcast eyes, and the king felt guilty. Now he felt guilty that he was angry, right? And he apologizes and says that I'm sorry, I lost my temper. It's the season for Hilsa fish, and no one, not even Gopal, can stop anyone from talking about Hilsa fish, not even for 5 minutes. Oh, I think I could, Your Majesty. Now, Gopal is also one of the courtier. He's very clever, he's very witty. Okay, and Gopal is you can say a advisor also for the to the king. So the king now he says that okay, everybody, why it is talking about, because it's the season of Hilsa fish, so everybody is talking about that. And he assumes that Gopal will also cannot stop this discussion about the fish even for 5 minutes. Everybody would be just talking about this thing only. But Gopal, he says that he accepts it, and he says that I could do that, Your Majesty. He has confidence in himself. Then let me see, the king's reply. Then let me see you buy a huge Hilsa fish. He gives a challenge to Gopal. and bring it to the palace without anyone asking you a word about it. The challenge is what? That Gopal has to buy a huge Hilsa fish. It should be huge so that everybody will be awestruck. They would automatically talk about it, this that he has bought such a large and huge Hilsa fish. And he has to buy that big Hilsa fish and bring it to the palace without anyone asking a word about it, without anyone talking or asking a word about that fish that he has bought. So it's a challenge that the king gives to the Gopal, and he accepts the challenge. Now a few days pass. Now what he's doing, the Gopal's wife asks Gopal, why is your face half shaven? Now he shaves his half face, as you can see. He has shaved his mustache, the beard, his half shaven face. So he replies that I'm dressing up to buy a fish. Now what is the reply of the Gopal to his wife is that he's dressing up, he's disguising himself so that he could buy the fish buy the Hilsa fish from the market. Now the Gopal's wife cannot understand this uh, thing that his husband is doing, the appearance that he's trying to do. What's the matter with you? Why are you smearing yourself with ash? I told you I'm dressing up to buy a Hilsa fish. Now he smeared his foot all over his face, the ash that is there. Okay. So the wife is very puzzled about it. Why he's dressing up just to buy a fish? What's something so great about this fish? Why he's taking so much of pains to do these kind of stupid things, right? And nobody does it. Why he's doing all this stuff, and he is looking as a very crazy person to her. So she's very annoyed with that. Why his husband is so keen to do this thing. Now the wife says, listen to me, please. You can't possibly go out in those disgraceful rags. What are you up to? How many times must I tell you, woman, I'm about to buy a huge Hilsa fish. Now he's wearing, as you can see in the picture, he's looking like a very funny character. Half shaven face, all torn, his face is smeared with ash. So his wife is asking, why are you wearing these rags, torn clothes? This is not the way to go. It will be embarrass you. It will humiliate us. This is a very disgrace for the family. So why are you going in this appearance to buy that huge Hilsa fish? And now the wife thinks that now he's gone mad. She thinks that his husband has gone crazy, right? Gopal bought the Hilsa fish and started walking towards the palace. Now he buys the Hilsa fish, Hilsa fish. Mother, now you can see as everyone is looking at Gopal. Mother, look at that man. Isn't he comical? He must be a madman. I think he's a mistake. Now everybody is talking about, the talk of the town now becomes instead of the Hilsa fish, now the talk of the town is Gopal, this man who is having the strange appearance. He is wearing this torn clothes. Everybody thinks he's a madman. He's crazy. He's gone insane, right? He's like a joker to them, right? Now, when Gopal reached the court, what do you want? I want to see the king. You can't see the king. Get away with you. Now, everybody is talking now not about the fish, but about Gopal, and that was the challenge that the king gave. That everybody of the village should talk about something else and not a word about Hilsa fish that you buy, right? So now they have all forgotten about this Hilsa fish that he's carrying. Their attention is diverted with the appearance of this strange man. Their focus is shifted from the Hilsa fish to this crazy man, right? And Gopal has been successful in doing that. Now Gopal began to dance and sing loudly in front of the gates of the palace because the guard was not allowing him to go inside and meet the king. Now inside the palace, now everybody is talking about this. Inside the palace also, everybody is talking about the strange man, this crazy man, and not about the fish that they earlier were talking about. Like, the man has gone crazy, throw him out at once. Now kings decide is what? Bring that man to me at once. Yes, your majesty. Now the king decides to let him meet him, and he asks his guards to let the man enter in the palace. Gopal was brought before the king. Now everybody thinks who this man is, and when they actually see this man in the court of the king, now what they all courtiers recognize that this man is none other than who? It is Gopal, right? One of the courtiers of the king. It's Gopal. Now they think that what, the man has lost his mind. I think it's one of his crazy jokes. Now they think that he's doing some sort of a joke, or he's gone crazy, has lost his mind. Everybody in the court is now also talking about Gopal and not about the fish that they earlier were talking about. All right, Gopal, out with it. Why are you dressed up in this ridiculous fashion? Your Majesty, you seem to have forgotten something. Now he thinks about what I've forgotten. The king thinks, forgotten something. Now Gopal's what does he say? Strangely enough, no one seems to be interested in Hilsa fish today. From the market to the palace and in the court, not a soul has spoken a word about Hilsa fish. The Hilsa fish that he was carrying, now nobody was seen interested. Their attention was diverted because of Gopal, because of his appearance. So he says that now nobody is talking about, not a soul has even uttered a word about this huge Hilsa fish that I'm carrying, and everybody's focus is shifted to himself, his appearance. And so he has completed the challenge that the king gave to him, right? Now he is successful in his challenge, and only then did the king remember the challenge that he had thrown to Gopal, and now everybody was laughing in the quote, well, Gopal, congratulations, you have achieved the impossible once again. Now he is successful. Gopal becomes successful, and he succeeds in completing the challenge that the king told him, that not a word should be there when he comes by carrying the Hilsa fish, and not a word was uttered by any soul that was present from the market till here in the palace. Now these are the word meanings of this chapter. Mongers, fishmongers that came in the first strip of the comic. It was for fishmongers are what they are called as vendors, the one who sells things. You must have also seen hawkers and vendors. They have this cart that they sell various things. So these are vendors. Small vendors are there. So mongers means vendors. Courtiers are the officials of the king, the advisors. Okay. Downcast is to let down. Smearing is to cover it. He smeared the ash on his face. He covered his whole face with ash to dip in. Okay. These are the word meanings. And now next is the moral of the story. What is the moral of the story? That now people talk about whatever new there is to talk about. So we can change what people think and talk about. Madness can be useful. If we are clever like Gopal, we can control what other people talk about. So what is the story gives us this message of what that nothing is impossible. We can be as smart and witty at the same time to be successful in any task. We should be like that, and it is us who leads ourselves to failure or success. So we can control other people's thinking and talk only if we are confident and smart and witty about ourselves, right? So this is basically the moral of the story. So now I am also giving you the run through of the recapitulation of the same story through these pictures. Also again you can revise it and then also read the chapter from the textbook. Through the pictures also you will find this story funny and entertaining. See the vendor, see here in this picture, he is a vendor, fishmonger, selling the fish, Hilsa fish to the people. These are the courtiers to the king that they are talking just about the Hilsa fish. Now this is Gopal, and he gives the challenge to Gopal. The king gives the challenge and he accepts the challenge. No one should talk about, even utter a single word about it. Now as you can see, he is shaved himself into half and then the smearing himself with the ash. Now his wife is angry, agitated. Now he buys the Hilsa fish, and everybody is now talking about this. They are surprised. This crazy looking man has arrived from where, and he's heading to the palace. Now he has reached the king's court. To draw the attention of the king, he's dancing and singing, and the king then now allows this man to enter. And they found out that this man is none other than Gopal himself. He disclosed his identity in front of the king. Now he tells about the challenge that the king gave to him. So that's it for the chapter.